Some men aren't looking for anything logical, like money. They can't be bought, bullied, reasoned, or negotiated with. Some men just want to watch the world burn.
Welcome back to Thinking Critical. This is Wes. I said we weren't going to talk about the Batman trailer, but who am I kidding? You know, obviously it was a big deal. There's been 25 million views on the damn thing. Everyone's got an opinion. I watched it about I think I watched it 3 times. And here to talk with me about that is the man that normally covers all the Batman stuff with us. It's a big Batman week, so we're going to do 2 episodes. We're going to do some trailer reactions here, and we'll do the comic books later in the day. How you doing, Josh?
I'm doing well, man. Yeah, there's no way I was going to let you get away with not talking about the Batman trailer. Come on. Like, you should have known. You should have known.
Every time I talk about the Batman trailer, even just the Batman film, I get in trouble. People do not like the fact that I'm not quite as enthused as everyone else. Although This is a very good trailer, much the same as far as tone. There are some things that I liked. I liked more things than I didn't like, and then there's certain things that I'm still unsure of. So I'll go over the stuff I liked first. I like that, it feels like Batman in the Se7en universe, which, we kind of got that feel already. Kind of like Gotham on steroids, just as in consideration of the way we've ever seen Gotham in movies or television. We've certainly seen a darker, nastier Gotham, maybe in like City of Crime and stuff like that in the comics. But it feels like people are going to get a different flavor of Gotham in here. Batman is certainly kicking a lot of ass. That's always a good thing. Looks good doing it. The Batsuit looks dope. The Batmobile, absolutely fantastic. So those are the 4 things that really stood out to me. For the most part, when he's in his Batman costume, I think it works.
Agreed. And I didn't think it would, but it looks pretty damn good.
So is there anything else specifically, about the trailer that you liked, or as far as the atmosphere, the colors, or anything?
I think there's a couple of things. And I think, one of the things that we're getting to try to get hints of, I think, that Matt Reeves is trying to tease, is that in comics a lot of time Gotham itself is kind of like a character, and I think we're getting a little bit of symbolism that that's going to be the case here. Like you, I'm looking forward to it. I like the brutality of Batman without him necessarily crossing that line. The one thing I wasn't sure about was Robert Pattinson as Bruce Wayne. The clips of him I wasn't fond of, his Bruce Wayne. And then he mentioned in the interview that at this time period, Bruce Wayne hasn't found his Bruce Wayne persona yet. So once he said that, I understood kind of more of why they were taking the approach they were with Robert Pattinson when playing Bruce Wayne, and I kind of eased off that. But you mentioned the David Fincher Se7en kind of comparisons, and I think we got a good taste of that last year when they gave the sneak peek. And I think the combo of last year's sneak peek plus this trailer is what kind of builds my excitement. You get a good idea of the scope of what we might be getting. And it looks like they're really kind of leaning into some comics and trying to bring those stories and those ideas to life. And it seems like they've got a pretty decent understanding of the characters. I'm curious to see their take on Riddler. I'm not completely sold in terms of Riddler, but I like what they're doing. I do like this aspect, and I find it interesting. I just, Riddler for me, I always kind of view as a little more campy. So we'll have to see.
What do you think about the soundtrack, or at least the audio that we're getting kind of overlaid with the trailer? It certainly feels ominous and creepy.
It feels ominous and creepy. I do think they're going to have to clean up some of the dialogue. There are parts of the trailer that I had to watch a couple of times trying to figure out what they said. Like there's a scene where Batman's like talking to someone in prison, and I think it's supposed to imply that it's Riddler, but it might be someone else. But I don't understand a word he says. Like he yells something at the window, and I'm like, watched it 4 or 5 times. I'm like, I'm done. I don't know. I'm lost. So I think Matt Reeves was trying to take a Nolan route there and be like, how hard can we make this movie to understand?
So there were a few things I didn't like. You touched on one of them, but these are the 3 big things that about the trailer when I watched it immediately kind of just give me the heebie-jeebies, give me a bad feeling. I am thinking cynical about this. Batman walking through bullets in being unfazed is pretty ridiculous. I understand he's wearing armor, but if you're wearing a bulletproof vest and someone shoots you in the chest from 4 feet away with an M16 or an AK-57, you're going to go on the ground. It's going to be very painful. And I think walking through bullets really takes the stakes out of the character. Like he literally can't be hurt. I do not like the idea of that. I don't think he should be dodging bullets either, but he should be affected in some way by literally being shot by a rifle at close range.
Yeah.
Alfred, to me, and we don't see a lot of him, feels too gritty. I feel like Alfred is supposed to be juxtaposed from Gotham in Bruce's life as something a little bit more bright and optimistic when he's Bruce Wayne, and that's kind of how he separates his universe. Obviously, Alfred straddles both lines, but he almost feels more like he's part of Gotham than like a butler to a billionaire. And I don't know that that's going to work out perfectly.
Yeah, it seems like they're definitely taking more of that Batman Earth One take on Alfred, where he is more. I mean, you know, even in main continuity, Alfred has a military background, but the Earth One version has a more gruff and you know, I think intimidating, and it looks like they're leaning that way. It's not my favorite take. I do love Andy Serkis though, so I'm curious to see what he brings to the table.
Man, I like Andy Serkis as Killer Croc. I don't know if I like him as Alfred. You know what I'm saying?
We'll see. He's good with nuance, and I think he can bring a lot to the table. I think it's going to depend on how he's written. And you know, I will say, after reading Batman the Imposter, I'm wondering if Matt Tomlinson may have given his hand away to a degree with the type of relationship Bruce and Alfred will have.
Sounds like he was very combative, and so eventually Alfred abandons it.
Yeah. So, you know, like I said last week, I don't like that. That bothers me to an endless degree. So I hope we don't get that in the film, but it might be there.
And the last thing I truly did not like, you touched on it earlier, Robert Pattinson as Bruce Wayne does not feel anything like Bruce Wayne. He doesn't feel like he was raised as a billionaire. He doesn't feel like, you know, he grew up in a mansion in Wayne Manor with his own private butler looking after him. He looks like some schlub. It doesn't really fit the character. Like Bruce Wayne and Batman, while they are, you know, kind of one and the same, they are separate entities from each other. And you could say, well, he hasn't discovered himself as Bruce Wayne yet, but he was still raised as a billionaire. He was still raised in a life of privilege. You know, he shouldn't feel like he's a part of the streets of Gotham. He should feel out of place. You know, that's kind of Bruce Wayne's place in the city. He's trying to do things and help people out, but this like weird, like you know, mop top haircut Bruce Wayne, not clean cut, does not work for me at all.
Yeah, I will agree. I hate the look. I really want to be like, dude, go take a shower.
Yes,
your hair looks greasy as fuck. But no, I with you, that was one of the things that I was just completely against. And the commentary in the interview, it seems like, you know, this was kind of getting out that this was a common thing that people weren't sure about. So I like that they at least kind of referenced it in the interview, that, you know, he hasn't found his persona as the public Bruce Wayne. Because we always talk about Batman and the different masks and who's the real mask. And, you know, it always comes back to Batman is the real mask. And Bruce Wayne is Batman's such a person, and Bruce Wayne is pretty much the mask. And when you look at it that context, I'm okay with it depending on how they actually do it. But I think it could be fun to see him discovering the need for that persona, the purpose of that persona, and then how he does go about kind of bringing that to life.
I like the other option to where there's actually three personas. There's Batman, there's Bruce Wayne, and then there's Batman in the Batcave, you know, with his mask off, but still suited up with Alfred. And that's actually who he is.
Yeah.
And then the one is like an amped up on steroids version of Vengeance him. And the other one's the public face that he thinks people need to see as the face of Wayne Enterprise. I kind of like the fact that there's three.
And I think that's actually what we're seeing in Bruce Wayne, is who he is in the Batcave with the mask off. I think that's kind of what we're seeing. I still think he needs to cut his hair and take a shower though. Yeah.
He just does not work for me. Now, there are a few things that I'm just not sure about. They're all characters. We've seen them in bits and pieces, a few of them a little bit more than others. I don't know how to feel about Selena Kyle yet. I don't know how to feel about the Penguin yet. He feels like almost two different characters in that trailer. Yeah. The Riddler, same thing. We don't think we even see his face in here. Mm-mm. And then Gordon, while I like the actor, and I think he's going to be in an upcoming TV show that spins out of this. And I think it's Jeffrey Wright will do a good job. We haven't really seen him do Gordon stuff other than stand by a bat signal.
Yeah. The one person I'll say that I'm completely against you on is Gordon. I cannot wait. We haven't seen much of him, but if there's one person that I have faith in delivering, I have a suspicion that after these 3 films come out, I think people will probably view this Gordon as the best Gordon. And that's not a diss on the Nolan films, but I think he's going to deliver, and I'm looking forward to it, and I'm excited. As for the others, Selena Kyle, it's on the fence. Zoe Kravitz, I think, has needed a role to kind of show her stuff off. I don't think she's ever had a great role. So if this is a good role, it could be good for her. I like some of what I'm seeing. I just want to see her actually act rather than just be in the, like, pretty much like Gordon in these trailers, just rather than just be there. I want to see her do things. And I think part of what I love about Catwoman and what Anne Hathaway brought, there's so much of her character that's presented in her physicality, how she moves, the way she does things. And all of the scenes we've really seen of Catwoman / Selena has been so dark, you can't really see anything. And then the whole costume, I know it's like thrown together, but I hope we get like a Darwin Cook type Catwoman costume when all is said and done, like full leather, get the goggles. I think that could be pretty cool.
I agree with you on that Anne Hathaway thing. I think when they first introduced a character and she ends up jumping out of like the 3rd-story window and landing on her feet with stiletto heels on, really told you everything you needed to know about the character.
100%.
She's straddling 2 worlds, and she's just as elegant in one as the other. Wow, that's a good way to introduce a character.
Oh, agreed. You know that there was an interview where they talked about doing an Anne Hathaway Catwoman movie, and they decided not to. And I think this was it was Nolan and his brother, and I really wish they would have, because I would have loved to have seen her dig into the character more.
I am with you as far as the actor playing Gordon. I assume that it's going to be good. I just haven't seen enough yet to kind of back up my assumptions. The one real concern I have is Riddler.
Yeah.
This seems like an exceptionally dark take, and we've seen dark takes on the Riddler before, but there's always that bit of campiness to him. He needs to be playing a little cat and mouse, not quite to the level of Joker.
Right.
We do hear a joke in the voiceover, which I think has come from Robert Pattinson, what's like black and blue all over or whatever, when you're seeing the scars on his back. So there needs to be a little bit of that. It doesn't need to go Jim Carrey though. You know what I mean?
No. Please don't. I will say too, one of the things I am concerned about is it looks like they're pulling some plot points that they already had in The Dark Knight, with Riddler specifically, and how it kind of compares to the Joker. Cause you've got this whole like scene of him getting arrested, and it seems like he's purposely getting arrested. And then you have this whole like potential interrogation scene, and we had that before. So I hope they are aware enough to differentiate that enough to where it doesn't feel like it's just a lift.
You know what would be cool? Is in that interrogation, the guy behind the thing, Calendar Man.
Yeah, that could definitely work.
And there's supposedly, this was heavily influenced by The Long Halloween, who kind of makes sense.
Yep. I would say if it's not the Riddler, I wouldn't be surprised if it's either Calendar Man or perhaps even Joker.
Although we did just see Calendar Man, I guess, in the Suicide Squad, but that's the weird thing about this DC universe, this DCEU, is this Batman takes place in a completely different, I guess, multiverse.
Yeah.
What if it's big? What if it's a hit? Like, you're not going to be able to tie in the Joker from the Joker movie. You're not going to be able to tie in Wonder Woman from the huge Wonder Woman, the Aquaman movies, and maybe work on something. You're going to have to get an all new Batman again.
Yeah, I mean, it's looking that way for sure. So it'll be interesting to see. And I think some of the excitement and some of the lack of excitement, you've got people that dislike Marvel because it's such a chore to watch all those movies, and you kind of have to tune into everything to kind of get an idea now. And so some people like the simplicity of this, but also you've got people asking questions now, which you had the whole Batgirl TV series coming out, and it's, different Batgirl, different Gordon, and they're using a Batman, and they said they're using the quote unquote real Batman, but it's like, who is that? I jokingly just said, oh, they're bringing Christian Bale back. But, it's a little too convoluted for sure.
It's a little bit complicated. I like that there's different flavors of the films. That's one of the things I don't like about the MCU is everything feels cookie cutter by the numbers now. It's the same jokes. It's kind of the same plot points, the same story beats, the same really weak villains that are very easy to overcome kind of thing within the MCU. So I want an alternative, but I kind of want it to be connected. Maybe, if this is the best Batman they've ever made, I want to see him with Jason Momoa's Aquaman. That was a cool version.
Yeah, so. I'm right there with you. I'm hoping that they'll do this. I think I'm hoping. I hope Warner Brothers realizes there is like a strength to having a connected universe, and you don't have to go as deep as Marvel's going, but I hope that they'll do this whole Flash film, clean things up, kind of streamline some things, and then move forward, because they've got brilliant actors that are doing great stuff with their roles. And I'd love to see. No. Yeah, unfortunately. Like, the one thing that might connect everything is the one thing that I could care less about.
The weakest link of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy. You know, obviously the Flash came out, or at least they had a little bit of teaser information of the Flash. I'm not impressed. I don't think it's interesting that he's wearing the old school Batman costume with Flash painted on it.
It's weird.
Ezra Miller's the drizzling shits, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because when he was first cast in Justice League and it came out, it was like, on one hand, I thought, for at least the cinematic or the theatrical version, I thought he was the most entertaining aspect of the movie, but he was by far the aspect that I was like, this is not Barry Allen. This does not feel like the Flash. So I'm not looking forward to the film. I am excited to see Michael Keaton again, but I think that's most people's drive to see this movie.
Yeah. Now, there were a couple other things of note that I thought looked pretty damn cool. We got a sneak peek last year at FanDome of Gotham Knights, and when we got a bigger trailer this time, kind of with the Court of Owls story. Yeah, the graphics looks absolutely fantastic. I like the characters involved. Obviously, Bruce Wayne is dead. At least that's what's implied by the trailer. I imagine by the end he's going to be a playable character. Otherwise, that would be crazy.
Yeah,
but,
probably.
You know, I like Barbara Gordon, and I love Nightwing. I like Red Hood. Court of Owls are cool. I mean, everything looks really great in that trailer.
Oh, agreed. It looks like a fun game. I always kind of lean towards the supporting characters anyways with stuff. So I think it's fun that, you know, they take the lead here. And Court of Owls, I'm happy to see them kind of get expanded into other media. And I think it's only a matter of time before they pop up in films, if they're not already planning to pop up in Reeves' films.
Talon.
Yeah.
As far as the comic book characters from Batman that have not appeared in the films, that one, like the costume and the look, would be so cinematically dramatic because of the eyes and everything.
Completely,
it's like tailor-made.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm hoping that the court and Talon pop up in Reeves' films, but I hope he gets a slicker look. That's just a deep down desire. But the game itself, like, I'm not a gamer, so there's a lot of stuff that I can't talk about in terms of what the gameplay looks like and how the animation looks and everything. But I might actually go buy a game console and check this out. So I guess that's a good thing. It has me interested and see if I want to drop a couple of $100 to get set up for it.
I'm more of a retro gamer personally.
Yeah.
So
I
play a lot of Nintendo and Sega and stuff like that. But the graphics look amazing. It certainly looks like they've took inspiration from the Penguin from the movie. In this one, it looks like it's Colin Farrell, but fatter. I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And the music kind of felt like they kind of crossed over.
Agreed.
A similar feel.
Agreed. So. It looks fun. It looks good. And I'll wait till some friends get it and see if I'm going to take that dive.
Now, there was one trailer, and this is not Batman related, but I don't care. I got to talk about it. There was one trailer from FanDome that there's nothing to dislike about.
I hope you're going to say Peacemaker.
Oh, it's Peacemaker.
Fuck yes.
Everything about that trailer was amazing. I love
dude.
I like the character in the Suicide Squad, and I love him even more just from the trailers. This is great.
Yeah. I was actually at work, and I was on my lunch break when I watched that trailer, and I'm sitting there and I'm watching it, and I'm just laughing out loud. And then I had one of my girls come in, and she was like, "What are you watching?" I was like, "The Peacemaker trailer." And she's like, "I don't know what that is," and walked out. And then I had another guy walk in, and he heard like 5 seconds of it. He's like, "Oh, is that the Peacemaker trailer?" So we're like starting it over and watching it again. So we watched it. This was my second time, his first time. And he's like, "Play it again." And I was like, "Absolutely." So it just, John Cena, it's crazy because I don't think we've ever would have thought he would be like a Hollywood star, quote unquote. But there are certain things that when he goes in for it, he just fits perfectly. And this is one of those things that he fits perfectly. And he's kind of doing what Ryan Reynolds did with Deadpool. Like, he is just running with it. Like, you can tell he loves this. You can tell he's passionate about it. And the humor that he brings, to me, I think it's refreshing. I love it. I can't wait to see what happens. And there's a number of things in this trailer that I absolutely loved. But I'll
Man,
let you.
I'm from a small town in Missouri. I know, like, redneck sexy. I love the idea of a superhero that was a redneck when he grew up, and his dad's an alcoholic, and they have issues. And that, if my buddies from high school became superheroes, they would absolutely be hugging an eagle by the end of it.
That's what I was about to bring up. I love when he's with the eagle, and the eagle hugs him, and he's like, "Oh, Dad, get my phone. I can't move." And I'm just like, it's so stupid, but it's brilliant. And I do like that kind of redneck aspect to it. I like
the humor, did I kill him too hard humor. This fixes with the character. I love it.
Yep. And one of the things that I loved about the Suicide Squad was the kind of like competition aspect between Peacemaker and Bloodsport. So I'm happy to see that we're going to kind of get a similar situation here with Vigilante. And it looks like a good, well-written show, good humor. I liked the humor in the Suicide Squad. So I'm excited to see it carry over here.
Yeah. Over-the-top violence, really funny jokes, and redneck humor. It's like, you're hitting all my feel spots. I'm tingling right now.
Great. Look, hey, I'm from Texas. I'm from East Texas at that. So redneck humor is right up my alley. And while I don't know if, the opposite spectrums of our country will love it as much, I think the whole middle America will find something they enjoy.
I think this is one where people can laugh with the humor if they get it, or they can laugh at it if they think it's beneath them. And I think that stuff works.
They've got and I can't remember the character's name, but it's the black female that looks like she's the co-lead. And it's just the way that Gunn wrote her character and how they both kind of take verbal jabs at each other, that it's very much that we're laughing with you. We're not necessarily making fun of you. And kudos to him, because that is not easy to do, and it looks like he's nailed it.
Yeah, I love the superhero that's so super because he's so insecure in the inside. Perfect.
Yeah.
I'm on Peacemaker like white on rice. This thing is going to be absolutely amazing. And 100%. that one comes out in January, so hey.
Yeah, it's coming soon. I'm ready for it. Bring it on.
Bad. Well, if we can, maybe we'll, depending on when it comes out during the week, maybe we can do a weekly review segment if we like Peacemaker.
For sure. Absolutely.
All right, buddy. I think that'll wrap us up with just talking about the Batman and kind of the trailers that we got from FanDome that we were interested in. Obviously, the Batman trailer was the really big one. We talked a little bit about the Flash, Gotham Knights, and then Peacemaker. Not really Batman related, but it's so good.
Oh, it's so good.
All right.
It's so good. See, I thought you didn't want to get water because it was going to take you like a minute or two, and then you. Oh,
what's up?
I started talking to you like you could hear me. I was like, "See, I didn't think you wanted to get the water because it was going to take you a minute or two, and you literally just hop in and hop right out."
It's sitting on the counter.
That's awesome.
Man, I was like, "Who the fuck is he talking to?"
It was my blonde moment. Oh man.